Welcome to the Red Raider Coaches Show. I'm your host Shane Bennett, along with head coach Kyle Langford, and we're going to do a little bit of catching up today. We're going to try to catch up on the Vidalia game, the Hurricane practice leading up to this week or this past week with Swainsboro, where we stand, and maybe some updates on the injuries. But as first things we like to always do, coach, is give a shout out to the churches for the pre-game meals, and of course we always like to give a shout out to First Baptist and those who donate for the breakfast that those guys do on every Friday morning.
Well, a couple weeks ago before the Vidalia game, we went out and spent some time at Corinth Free Will Baptist Church, and man, they had a fantastic spaghetti dinner, and kids really enjoyed it, and just so welcoming, and boy, they had it piled on good. So we enjoyed that, and then this past week before the Swainsboro game, went to First AB. And Pastor Dean up there, man, they had a food. The kids been waiting for that one, you know. They've been talking about that for a while, and they didn't disappoint. As always, I told them just too much food. You know, that's probably the name of the game, First AB. You can't hardly hold your plate. They put so much on it for you. But it was really, really good. And I told them, I said, I know good and well right now I can't eat all this. And I said, I can assure you I want some more come Saturday. And they tried to send me some plates, and I said I couldn't handle it. But I sure did want one Saturday morning. Again, just to reiterate, we just had an outpouring of the community, and it's always, not just this year, but always that the community's handing out, or not handing out, giving and helping with the boys and helping with the coaches as far as feeding them, and on the other side, giving a little spiritual enrichment boys may not otherwise get. Coach, going to kind of be a blitz through this. We want to catch up a little bit. And as far as Vidalia and Swainsboro, but just give us an update on the injuries, where we are with some kids. I know we got back Xavier Hayes he was on the field Friday night. Dawson Jewell is back at the wheel again. I know I don't know if we've had the coach show since then, but we've lost with Caleb Howson is out for the season, and it looks like career ending as far as football. Am I missing anybody? And Cooper. We lost Cooper in the Vidalia game, and you know, he suffered a broken collarbone there at the beginning of the fourth quarter, and you know, the kid wouldn't say anything and played the whole fourth quarter with a broken collarbone, and you know, just real guts, and that's about what you would expect out of him. He's played with tremendous guts all year, and I think I was as sad as anybody when we got the word on him, but you know, he's sort of just still in the mix, and he stays in the huddle, and I think he's preparing himself for a return, and we hope that the good Lord willing and some things go our way, that maybe he'll return, you know, in 4 weeks, and we'll still be playing in 4 weeks. Well, Coach, I have to say, I can't remember. I was thinking the other day, and we were talking to some other folks, I can't remember a time that we've had the injury bug as bad as we've had it this year. I know what you had coming up to you, and you were, you know, real hard on trying to fill some spots, and then you get some spots filled, and you got injuries, and you've had to move around. How has that affected the way you've coached this year as far as having to deal with these injuries? Because, I mean, you have to deal with injuries as a coach, I know, but you've had an overwhelming amount of injuries this year. Well, there's a couple of things I think that play into it. You know, in the past 2 years, we have had ankle injury after ankle injury, and that is, I mean, we have. And I'm being serious with you. We've used 15 cases of tape on ankles the last 2 years. 15 cases a year. This year, I don't think we've used 2 cases. So we're not getting the little nagging injuries, or either we just hurt so bad that the nagging injuries ain't bothering us as much. But we've had no ankle injuries, knock on wood, and none of those little small things. Everything we've had has been catastrophic. And, you know, whether I want to admit it or not, you know, probably some of it's due to the way we practice and the way we get after it. I mean, because it's very physical, and you know, you take the good with the bad on that. The good part is when the game comes and you're very, very physical on your opposition, and you get off the ball and you look good. That's the benefits of it, and the bad part of it is you probably wear on yourself through the course of the year like that, and that may or may not have been the case some with us. Well, I mean, it's been that old philosophy, next man up, and this year thus far I've seen a great showing of that. I mean, it's always been the next man up. We certainly, you know, I thought we were so poor offensively at the beginning of the season, but we've really implemented so many different things. You know, we probably have over 60 formations, and there's a lot of things I think we can do pretty well right now. So with people get hurt, sometimes you have to shift gears a little bit, and that's what we did really the last 2 weeks with Cooper running things. We were spread and throwing it all over the place, and then this past week, you know, we ran the ball 48 times. So it just depends on who you got in and what is good that week and what you think's a good matchup as to what we do. And you know, right now we're just trying to win a football game.
All right, Coach. We'll go through this 5-day game quick and jog your memory back. Go through that. We come off of a tough game against Toombs County,
Right.
Where we were in that football game, had our chances there.
Took the lead early and right up to halftime, played pretty well up to halftime, and they made a couple of plays in the third we couldn't answer. And I think we ended up with 3 turnovers again that led to 17 points, which ended up being the difference in the ball game. You know, and that's been the trend all year, and that's the trend in every football game that's ever played. You turn the ball over, it's going to equal points, and you're not going to win very many ball games. And I think that's really what happened against Toombs.
Well, and same thing with Vidalia. I don't think Vidalia was expecting what they got from us in that game up until the point where we had the 2 turnovers back to back, basically right there. We're into the fourth quarter, 11 points down, and got the football and starting to drive there until it seemed like the wheels kind of come off. But
well, in the Vidalia game, the biggest thing that sticks out to me is it was 16-0, you know, with a minute and a half to go in the half. And we come down the field a little bit and get the ball inside the 30, you know, with a chance to score, and we were going to get the ball in the second half, and we knew we had some things that were good, and I kept thinking the whole time, if we'll just be patient here, we'll make it 16-7 at the half, and then we come out and take the ball in the second half and score, and then here we go, you know, but we get down there and had a bad play call, ended up leading to a turnover, and but we did receive the ball in the second half, go down and score, made it 16-7. But it would have been nice to be able to stack those 2 possessions together, you know, especially against a team that's that good.
And I think if we kind of sum up the season to this point, there's not been a football game that we've really not been in the region.
Right.
It's just been where we've kind of shot ourselves in the foot with different things that we've done.
And the majority of it is, you know, there's mistakes on coaching end, and then there's inexperience, you know. And when you have those 2 things combined, that's a disaster. You know, you can't have mistakes scheme-wise, you can't have mistakes technique-wise, and then you can't play too many young guys, which we're having to do right now. And that's kind of like the death blow. I think we played 9 sophomores and 1 freshman Friday night, and that's just not where we expected to be at this year. But like you said, due to injuries, I think we've lost 6, 7 guys that were starters since beginning of August, and that's just takes everything you have planned and you kind of just plan for something else.
Well, and I guess taking we talked about after the game before, but taking the positive about that, I haven't seen a team that has been as focused as this team has been this year, as far as on the sidelines, in the locker room before the game, as far as not giving up, not, you know, got that business frame of mind.
Right.
We talk pregame, you know, what's the feel of them? They got that business side of them, that they look like they're ready to play football, and they're not overwhelmed by whoever they're playing.
Right. And the one thing I'll say about this group, it's not a foolish acting group, it's not a silly group, and you know, I really have to fight myself because I want to keep my thumb on top of them the whole time, and we're going to march the same and all this. But you have to realize that the times are not like they were when I first started. This ain't, you know, 21 years ago. Kids are different. So we let them listen to their music. We let them relax a little bit before the game. But there comes a point in that pregame where I come in there and I say, that's it. And then the music goes off, the headphones go up, and then we're ready to work. So there's a happy medium, there's a real fine line, you know, as opposed to browbeating them and staying on them. And then you don't want to let them run wild either, because they're young, they're children, they're not going to know when it's time to focus. They're not going to know when it's time to be serious. I probably didn't when I was that age either. So that's what they have us for, as coaches and mentors. But I really like this group. And one thing I'll say is we never have to say hustle. We never have to say hurry up. We never have to say, you know, those kind of things that aggravate you as a coach. We all come together, and they know when it's time to get serious, and they do a good job of that.
Well, cleaning up the Vidalia game, finishing up on that, we take away those 2 turnovers there, we're in the football game.
And we had 3 total. And,
right.
And those 3 led to 14 points, or 18 points. It was, but anyway, the differential was there off turnovers. You know, if we take care of the ball, I think it was a field goal off a turnover and 2 touchdowns, so 17 points. And then we're in the ball game. Now we came down. The one thing I will credit the guys with, we scored 1 in the 4th, and then we came down at the end with ball on 2. And by that time, Cooper was in such excruciating pain he couldn't go. So I knew something was wrong with him because he doesn't complain and he doesn't cry and whine about being hurt. So I knew there was something wrong. We got him out, and then things just kind of fell apart at the 2. But I really thought there for a minute. I said we're going to score again. We had to execute an onside kick very well by Ronaldo, and so there were some encouraging things there. What was the most encouraging was the physicality of it. I thought, strength-wise, physical-wise, we matched up well with Vidalia, which we have not done the past 2 years. Mm-hmm. And then when they came out and made a play or 2 early, we responded well. We didn't flinch. We didn't go crazy. We just kind of, played. And and then if you remember back, we threw the ball okay, but then the running game really got going in the second half.
Right.
And I think that's when the line really started establishing themselves. I thought they started making improvements Toombs County week, but I thought we did a pretty good job against Vidalia running it too. I think we were around 150 against a team we probably hadn't run for 150 the last 2 years on combined. So we did some good things there, and then I think it's just going to keep progressing for us.
And it has thus far. Now, the McBride kid, there was so much hoop about that. I didn't see the kids intimidated, and I'm not taking away from that kid. He's a good kid. I saw sportsmanship on both sides of the ball over there.
He's going to be a good college player.
But I didn't see our kids intimidated by him at all. I mean,
No,
it was more in fun and talking and carrying on. But I thought they handled themselves well over there in Vidalia. And as you say, from the Toombs game, from the Jeff Davis to Toombs, each week we're improving.
Right.
It just seems like we can't get that
Just
one
this
break
close.
to get through us. Well, guys, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back and we're going to break down the game in Swainsboro last week and talk about the upcoming game against Benedictine. We'll be right back. All right, Coach, it's still a little raw for me. I know it is for you, talking about the Swainsboro game. And again, you were talking about a while ago that we're just that close, and I felt like Friday night we went over that hump. And I will say, right off the bat, that was the epitome of not give up to me in our kids. I didn't see panic on the sidelines. I didn't see any kind of just we've lost this game or anything. Even after they scored that last touchdown, it was kids, we want the ball back because we're going to go down and score it. It was the confidence, I think, that they've got now that's making a big difference. But
and one thing sticks out in my mind after we scored that last one, and Dawson came up and said, "Coach, we got this game," and I said. And he was not in any kind of arrogant way. He just was so excited. He said, "Coach, we have got this game." And I said, "Well, that may be true." I said, "But you better get your mind turning in what we're going to do, because we may have to go the length of the field here. Mm-hmm. You never know." So while we were feeling good with 4 minutes to go in the ball game, as a coach and as somebody that competes, you're always thinking, what if? And when it happens, if the worst happens, you don't panic. You sort of already prepared for it. And we have a 1 minute drill. It ended up, I guess, being a 30-second drill for us. But we have certain plays that we want to execute on that 1 minute drill, and we do them every Thursday. And we've done them since I was at Hawkinsville. It's the same plays, and we believe that even with 30 seconds to go and 75 yards, we believe if we hit a couple of those, it's going to give us a chance at the end. That did Friday night. Just wasn't quite enough, but it gave us a chance anyway.
Yeah, I was I think as excited as anybody, but I just see it in the players' face was just like we've stuck to our plan and we've accomplished it. You could just see the pride in them. And then for it to end, with a busted play.
Yeah, polar opposites. Yeah. Polar opposites. You go from everybody tore up and excited, and to just feeling like your heart's been ripped out of you. And but I will say this: I want to compliment our fans. We had a good crowd go over to Swainsboro and cheerleaders, and I'll tell you what, that was as loud a place as I've seen in a long time. That place really got loud that last 4 minutes, and I thought a couple of cheerleaders were going to pass out there screaming so loud, and I could. Above all the noise, I still heard my wife, because she can scream pretty good too. But our crowd
was just before the game started.
Yeah, but our crowd was really outstanding, and people can gripe and say this and that about the fans and about the crowd, and oh, they're not very loud and this and that. Well, guess what? If you give them something to cheer about, they're going to cheer, and if you don't give them anything to cheer about, they're not going to cheer. And that goes to any school in the country. And Sanford Stadium was probably pretty quiet Saturday. There ain't much to cheer about. People ain't going to cheer, but we got them excited, and that means a lot to us to hear them. And I rarely hear the crowd, but I could hear it Friday night. And I know people were just hanging on for dear life, and we were too. And I appreciate the crowd that traveled with us.
Well, I tell you, that was a very tense place on both sides of the field after that touchdown was scored, and waiting to see what was going to happen. Even the chain crew got so excited one of them got thrown out of the game. But Coach, going back to the first half, I know we talked pregame and after the game. First half, as far as the line of scrimmage, we just wasn't getting it done.
Right.
I mean, we didn't have the running game in the first half. We had the second half.
Right.
And you said post game, if we could have done that the first half like we did the second half, we would have won that game easily.
And here's the thing that's so strange to me. Is, we got good players. These are the players that have been doing this stuff for a couple of years, ran a lot of horsemen. And it's the same people. And for whatever reason, we get out there in that first half and we start wanting to do our own thing instead of what we're coached to do. And Coach K noticed that off the bat. He said, that's not right. It had very little to do with offensive line. I thought the offensive line was virtually the same the whole game. Now, they did get better as the game went, but it wasn't their issue. The upbacks were not doing their job, not doing what they're coached to do, and we corrected that at halftime. And it's funny, once you do what you're coached to do and what you're expected to do, how things work out for you. And the kids, to their credit, could hear the coaching, made the adjustment, did what we needed them to do, blocking-wise, and then the holes just started opening up everywhere.
Yeah, and on that, Madison ran like I've not seen him run before. And just
I hadn't seen a running back run like that in a long time.
That was he ran with a purpose in that second half, and that was encouraging to see, because I haven't seen a running back run that in a while. I mean, he was just wide open. And
well, he's a very fast kid. I mean, he really runs good. He's a big kid. He's probably almost 190 pounds, almost 6 foot tall, maybe a little taller, and he's a God just blessed him with a gift to be able to run the football and run it hard. And
he's a junior.
And he's a junior. And once I looked up at halftime, we were thinking about the carries, and I said, goodness, he hadn't had a carry yet. But at the same time, we're asking Tito Brown, who's 150 pounds, to play defense and carry it 20 times in the first half. And that's not, we got to do a better job of that. And that is my problem, and I've got to fix it. And then once we got the mix going, we would hit them with Anthony, and then Tito would jump back in there, and he'd tear off 8 or 9 yards. And we had a pretty good combination. Then with Dawson running it, Anthony was around 120, Tito was around 115, And then Dawson was 70 yards, so we were very close to having 3 guys rush for 100 yards, which I hadn't seen done, but really once in the last 10 years that I've been a part of. So we had the mix going, and so we were tickled with the way that was going down. I think it's something we can certainly build on these last 3 weeks.
Well, I know we ran the ball a lot, but your mix pass to run still wasn't that far lopsided, wasn't we? There was a lot of passes mixed in there. It was a good mix.
Very effective, and I think he ended up being 13 of 17 for right at 170. So, I mean, that's a pretty good night by anybody's standards. And a couple he missed, you know, he'll come back and tell you I should have hit those, so he really should have probably been like 15 of 17. And but he was efficient when he had to be, and early on we threw it in predictable downs. It would be 3rd and 11, and we knew we had to get 12, and we did it. And so Dawson really had a good game, and receivers did. We caught the ball well, and but that's stuff that good teams have to do. You know, good teams are not one-dimensional. Good teams throw it and catch it and block and run it, and they do all those little things, you know.
Well, that was you mentioned that. It was good to see Dawson step back in there and take control the way he did, and he did a real good job, especially that last drive. Going back and look at the film again a couple times, and his ability to divert the tackle, get around that side, and get that ball deep, and then the reception on the other end.
And he can extend a play that maybe other kids can't. And then we've got such good receivers and experienced receivers, you know, they find a way to get open, and he'll get them the ball. And so that's one thing that he's very gifted at. And, you know, he's a kid he's got a lot of energy, you know, good, bad, or indifferent. He's got a lot of energy, and, you know, as long as he's got the ball in his hand, there's any kind of time on the clock, he believes he can fit a ball in, and he did that. That last throw was really, really good. Yeah,
I'm a believer now, too, myself. All right, Coach, before we move on, we scored the touchdown. We're looking now at the 2-point conversion, which I don't think anybody in the house anywhere thought any different. We got to go for the win there.
And the thing was, if the previous PAT, we missed 2 PATs, all right? If the previous one had been close, you know, because the first one was close, it was not a bad ball, but the second one was a bad deal between the hold and the kick, and all that was terrible. If the second one had been close, you know, maybe we would have kicked it because we had a little momentum. But I know they were so devastated when we scored that touchdown with no time on the clock. I said, this is a chance to steal the thing. We come in here and get this 2-point. We had a good play call. And let's steal this game right now. And they want it just like thieves in the night. You know, we'll be in and out and get the win. And so I would do it certainly again. You know.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's. I guess the question is just what can you say? What happened there of that last play?
Yeah, we didn't. When we came off, I didn't communicate well about the placement of the backs. We ran the inside zone, which we had ran probably 30 times with a lot of success. And we had the play set up, and it was a good play. And I got the back and the quarterback confused by not, you know, sometimes we'll run it offset, sometimes we'll slide him up in the pistol and set him. And so they were both confused about where the placement was. We had no timeout, so I told them in the meeting Sunday if we had it to do over again, we'd probably took a delay of game, and you know, maybe at least got a good play that we thought was a good play. Give up to 5 yards, because the yards at that point were irrelevant to us. You know, we got a lot of options. We'll throw it around. But you know, hindsight's 20/20. We thought we had a good play. Let's get it in and let's go fast before they know what's up. And we just made a mistake, and that's. I told them all, you know, it hurts and it's unfortunate, but we will not make that mistake again. You know, and we've corrected it already in practice this week, so I don't think we'll have that problem again.
Well, and going back, you talking about the kicking. That's the first time I can remember in a while that we've had a 3-point field goal, or all 3-point, but field goal from anything other than around just an extra point distance. But so that was some encouragement to see special teams that we might have.
The last one I remember was, I think, Glenn you remember at Brooks.
Right.
He kicked a good one, I think about 30 yards. But this one, it was 37, and to be honest, it'd probably been good from 45.
Oh yeah, he had plenty of leg in that, and then even one right before half, he had plenty of leg in that one for over 40, and just was a little bit.
And he told me he thought actually said he kicked that one better, and he thought he'd hit that one. He said he didn't miss it by much, and it was a good kick. So it's good to at least know that, hey, we got a sophomore we can throw in there. If that comes down to it and we got to make a kick, at least he's going to give you a chance.
Right.
You know, and that's a good feeling. And the kicker always gets the blame, but it's rarely his fault. It really is. You got people blocking up front, and then you got a snap and a hold. So there's a lot of moving parts to that make it difficult. And we work on it a lot, and I hate it when we're not successful. But you know, I don't know what else to do except keep working, man.
Well, Coach, speaking of working, you got your work cut out this week. You got #1 team in state and 2A coming in, and Benedictine #1 in region. Nobody in the state or United States, I'd say, gives us a chance at even being in the football game with these guys. But I'd say nobody gave us a chance against Toombs, nobody gave us a chance against Vidalia. And that's why we lined up and played the football game. And we talked earlier, the kids, you said had a good practice yesterday. They came in today. How was practice going this way, getting prepared? Today
was okay. They came out a little slow this morning. And I don't know if that was simply a case of, for one, being a little tired, and for two, yesterday being so physical. And I suspect yesterday was just such a tough, good day that I think their bodies kind of told on them today, and today was not quite as good. But to their credit, when things started out slow and sloppy, hey, let's pick it up, and we picked it up and ended up on a positive note. So it was not a total wash for us today. There were some good things that came from it. And you know, this Benedictine team, in my opinion, is better than the team they had 2 years ago that won it. It's the best team I've laid eyes on in 3 years, and that probably includes a lot of people. And I would dare you to, you know, we could sit down right now with the list of GHSA member schools, and you'd be hard-pressed to find 10 schools that could beat Benedictine regardless of classification. As Glenn Academy found out in week 1, this is a very good team and a very serious team. I think maybe they were embarrassed last year the way their season ended, so they have worked extra hard with their players in the off season, and they're very, very good, very fast. I wish there was a weak spot, and there ain't one. Their quarterback's outstanding. They have 3 guys that are the fastest 3 kids in the region, and then up front they're just fantastic. Got a sophomore nose guard who looks to be probably 300, 320, and he's fantastic. And then all their linebackers are very good. So it's just a very good team. And but you learn a lot from playing good teams, and you sort of, you know, take it as a personal challenge of yourself of playing good teams. But like we said all season, we hadn't spent any time talking about Benedictine. We really don't. We talk about what do we got to do to be successful, and that's play with energy and play with effort and to play with class. And if we do those things, you know, who cares if it's Benedictine or Valdosta or whoever, you know. But because we can't control what they do, but we can control how we play. So that's the big thing for us this week, and you know, just get in there and try to get with it, you know.
Well, if you had to, and I say the keys to the game, I know is, but what have you found anything that you can talk about or want to talk about that we might could be successful doing against
Mix it up. That's the biggest thing. You know, if we sit there and say, well, we're going to run it 40 times, no, you're not going to be successful doing that. And if you say we're going to throw it 50 times and no huddling and all this stuff, you're not going to be successful at that. You better mix it up. You better be varied in your formations. You know, we're going to come out and do some things, but, you know, it would be silly to me to think we're going to stay in double twins all night. That's not going to happen. And it'd be silly to me to think we're getting horsemen all night. That's not going to happen. We've got to vary our looks, vary our formations, vary our cadence with the quarterback, and just mix up play calling. I think that's it doesn't matter if it's Benedictine or whoever, I think that's the best chance you got. But they're so good. It's like I told the guys, I think there are some things that we do well that may benefit us. Now, whether we do enough things well, I can't tell you. But we better do the things we do well and do those successfully. Right. Because if we miss on those, then we're in trouble. And they'll make you pay just like they made Toombs pay last week, just like they make everybody pay.
All right, Coach, we're going to wrap it up. Anything you want to add? I just know we want to, you made a good point earlier about the fans being out there. These kids have worked hard since early in the summer, and they have not give up on you. They've worked hard, and we owe it to them to go out there and support these kids, whether it's football, softball. Softball, real quick, is going to be in Social Circle tomorrow. We support those girls, but these boys and football, we need to support them. Come out and support these kids. They work hard to represent Macon County, and they have done an outstanding job this year with their character and what they've done on the field.
The way I think of it's like this too. I mean, it's very rare that you're going to get the number one team in the state coming in. It just is. You're getting the number one team in the state coming in. You know, regardless of what you think or what you think our odds are, that's irrelevant because we don't care. But to get to see a team like us compete against a team of this caliber is certainly going to be worth your time.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we still believe in ourselves, we believe in our capabilities, and we believe in miracles, you know, and we're going to go out there and play hard Friday night. And all I know is if you miss it, you have to live with that the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're there, you can at least either say, I was right on what happened, or boy, that was the greatest game I've ever seen. It's going to be one of them two things that's going to happen. So make sure you're there Friday night. We need you there. And you can get to see great players. I mean, they're exciting, and they're a really good team, and they're going to, you know, they're in line to win the state championship. Maybe the future state champions we get to see Friday night. Who knows?
Or we get to defeat the future state champions.
It's going to be one of them two is going to happen, right?
So, all right, Coach. Well, we appreciate you and staff, and we just look forward to hoping everybody will come out Friday night and support these guys. We'll be back next week.